Quote Retreat by Sandor. One quote, one reflection, one thought that could bring a moment of light and energy to your day. Join me as we take a look at today's quote. The quote is by Francis Bacon. Born 1561, died 1626. It reads, "I will never be an old man." To me, old age is always 15 years older than I am. Let's take a moment together to explore the messages within this quote. Here's something that might challenge everything you believe about aging. One of history's greatest minds insisted that being old was always exactly 15 years away from wherever he stood in life. And this wasn't some modern self-help guru, but Francis Bacon, the father of empirical science, speaking from the 1500s.
That's such a fascinating perspective to come from someone who lived in an era when reaching 40 was considered a major achievement. The way he captures this universal experience really speaks to something deep in human nature.
Well, what makes it even more remarkable is who Bacon was. This revolutionary thinker who completely transformed how we approach scientific thinking. Here's a man who was Lord Chancellor of England, who basically invented the scientific method as we know it, and he's making this deeply human observation about aging that still resonates today.
You know what really strikes me about the historical context? In Bacon's time, the average life expectancy was around 35 years. Yet here he was, maintaining this youthful perspective well into what was then considered ancient.
And that's exactly what makes his perspective so revolutionary. He wasn't just talking about staying young at heart, he was actively demonstrating it through his work. I mean, he published Novum Organum, one of his most groundbreaking works at age 59, when most of his contemporaries would have been long retired or, well, dead.
That really puts a different spin on his quote about old age always being 15 years ahead. Like he found this perfect psychological distance, close enough to be realistic about aging, but far enough to keep pushing forward.
And here's what's really interesting. This mindset wasn't just about personal philosophy. It directly influenced his scientific work. By maintaining this perpetually forward-looking perspective, he was able to challenge the accepted wisdom of his time. You know how everyone just accepted whatever Aristotle had said 2,000 years earlier? Well, Bacon was like, maybe we should actually test these ideas.
So if we think about it, his approach to aging really mirrored his approach to knowledge. Always questioning, always looking forward rather than backward.
Exactly right. And this is where it gets fascinating. His personal philosophy and his scientific method were completely intertwined. He believed that knowledge should be based on systematic observation and experimentation, rather than just accepting traditional authority. It's like he applied the same revolutionary thinking to both aging and science.
The way you describe that really brings home why this quote isn't just clever wordplay. It's almost like a manifesto about refusing to be limited by conventional wisdom of any kind.
Well, consider this. In an age when most people just accepted their station in life, Bacon was implementing major legal reforms in his 60s, conducting scientific experiments, and writing philosophical treatises that would change the world. He was essentially saying, look, these limitations you think exist, they're all in your head.
That perspective must have been absolutely radical for his time period. I mean, in the late 16th century, society was incredibly rigid about age-appropriate behavior, wasn't it?
Oh, you better believe it. And here's something that really puts it in perspective. While most of his contemporaries were focused on preserving and protecting old knowledge, Bacon was actively advocating for what he called the advancement of learning. He believed that human knowledge should constantly expand and evolve, just like he believed we shouldn't be constrained by age.
You know what's remarkable about that? His ideas about both aging and knowledge were so ahead of their time that they actually align better with modern neuroscience about brain plasticity and lifelong learning than they did with 16th century thinking.
That's such a great point. And it ties into something else that's fascinating about Bacon. He died pursuing his scientific curiosity. At age 65, he was conducting an experiment about food preservation, using snow, caught pneumonia, and died. But here's the thing. He was still actively experimenting and pursuing new knowledge right up until the end.
The way you frame that really shows how deeply he lived his philosophy. He wasn't just saying age shouldn't limit us. He was proving it through his actions until his final day.
And you know what makes this especially relevant today? We're living in an era where traditional life stages are becoming more fluid than ever. People are starting new careers in their 50s, going back to school in their 60s, launching businesses in their 70s. Bacon's perspective feels more relevant now than ever.
That's so true. It's like he was giving us permission 400 years ago to reject these artificial age-based limitations we still struggle with today.
Looking at it that way, this quote becomes more than just a clever observation about aging. It's almost a key to understanding how to maintain intellectual and personal growth throughout life. It's about keeping that sense of possibility alive, that openness to new ideas and experiences, no matter what number appears on your birthday cake.
Well, that really brings it full circle. From a 16th century philosopher to modern-day inspiration for anyone feeling limited by age-based expectations.
And perhaps that's Bacon's most enduring legacy, not just his contributions to science and philosophy, but this timeless reminder that the only real limitations are the ones we choose to accept. Whether you're 25 or 85, old age is always just 15 years away. With that, we conclude this exciting episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate a like and a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Your support truly helps this channel grow. See you again tomorrow. Yours, Sandor.